Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to build a basic room, just a map for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It won't be anything too fancy, but it'll just make sure that everything is indeed working. So first thing, after you boot it up Hammer Editor, go up to File, New, then File, Save As, and then name the map what you like. I'm just going to name mine DE_test map 1, and just click enter, and there you go, it's saved. So, now we have a level, but there isn't anything actually in it yet. It's just infinite empty space. So, we're going to want to lay down a floor. This little block here is called the block tool, and it allows you to place blocks in the map. Pretty straightforward. So basically, you select it, and this is your grid here. You just go ahead and draw it out. You can see here that it's 128 by 128 units. And then here, this is its height. It's 64 units high, and again 128 units across there. I'm just going to drag it down to make it nice and flush with this blue line, and just make it 8 units thick. Once you like it, you can just press enter, and it creates the brush. Now you have it here in your viewport. You can go up to camera and click 3D textured to see the actual textures. Press Z, and you can move around with your mouse in WASD. Then you can use this, which is the texture tool. Click on it, browse, and you can make any texture you want within the game. I'm going to do no draw. This is invisible. And then if you do Shift Alt and right click on it, then it makes all the brush that texture. Now you're probably wondering why I want to do invisible. It sounds pretty dumb. Well, basically, players can't see the sides and the bottom of the floor because they're only going to be standing on top of it. So there's no point in using your system's resources to draw it. So you just make it invisible. It's just optimization. So now we select this top part here, browse, and then we can search for floor. A lot of floor textures will pop up. I'm just going to pick this really gross concrete one, right click, and apply. So now we have a floor. Now we're going to want to build some walls. So what you can do is you can click on the brush to easily outline where it is, and then you click on the little block tool there, drag it up, and you see 128 units. Again, you can just make a little square for a guy to sit in. Now before pressing enter, you notice that we still have this texture selected. That's going to make this whole entire block that texture, which is pretty inefficient because then we have to go around and change it back to the no draw. So what you can do is you can take your texture selection tool, select no draw, X that out, go back to your block tool, and then see no draw selected. Click enter, and there you go, it's already no draw. Now you can click on the selection tool, shift click on this block that you just created, and drag it to the opposite side, and that'll duplicate the block. Again, you can shift click and drag it up to here, and you see that we have a wall that's a little misshapen, but we can just take this corner right here and drag it up like so, shift click and drag it down there. Then again, Z to pan around, you can see that we have created 4 walls. And then texture tool, click on the surface we want, browse, search for wall. And let's find a really ugly wall. This one right here. Perfect. Right click. There you go, those 4 walls are textured. And again, selecting no draw once I'm done. So now we can create the ceiling. Now what we can do to make it super easy is just click on the floor, shift drag all the way up here to the ceiling. But oh no, look at that, the very top is textured and we don't want that. You can just left click on here and right click, and then it's no draw. And again, click on here, browse, ceiling. And we'll pick a pretty ugly ceiling as well. Oh yeah, perfect. Alright, so now we have this really crappy looking cube. It's pretty comfy, you know? So we're going to stick our guy in it. This here's the entity tool. It allows us to place down entities. Just click it, and then click in the center of your room. You see here, I have a prop_static. Yours might be a little different. just double click on it, it won't really matter. We're going to want to put down info underscore player underscore terrorist or counter terrorist, whichever one you like. Terrorist works for me, so just make sure it says that, then click apply. You see we now have a terrorist. You can just click X out of that, and then you see he's here. Now, I'm just going to perfectly center him in the room by moving him out and then back. But you notice he's actually floating, and we want that because if you put them directly on the floor, they might just fall right through it when the round starts. So just having the height there, it'll just teleport them right to the ground when the game starts. So, now we have our character, but there's no light in this world, there's no way for light to come in, there isn't a sun or anything, outside is just the void. So what we can do is we can click on this entity here, and we can shift click to duplicate it, just like the brushes. Just duplicate him over there, double click, and let's make him a light. Again, click on light, apply, now we have a light in our world. I'll just X out of this, and position this over his head, and in the center of our room, which it already is. Again, we can double click on the light, and go to brightness. This here is the color and brightness of our light. 200 is a little high for 128 by 128 cube, so I'm just going to make that about 50, which still might be a little too bright, I'm not too sure. But then I can go pick color, and you want really mild like lights here, so I think that'll be an okay yellow for this light here. So you see the color code has changed and the brightness stayed the same, so that's all good. HDR, won't get into that yet. Appearance, you can make it flicker and stuff like that. I don't recommend trying that quite yet. We'll get into this more in some future videos. So anyway, click apply, X out, and now we have this room with a light in it and a guy. So we can go to File, Run Map, and then you go ahead and select Full Compile, Both, Final, Slow. This will make it in the highest detail. Later on you'll probably just do like fast and stuff like that for larger maps, but this is good for now. You can optionally wait for key press when done compiling. Doesn't really matter. You can press go. Now that it's compiled, it's going to boot up the game. Alright, now we've spawned in our map, and you can see that we have the floor, all four walls, in the ceiling, and that little bit of yellow light there with the brightness 50, which turned out pretty nice. You can run around in this little cube here, do whatever you want. It's pretty cozy for this little terrorist here. Can't do much harm, probably a good thing he's in this cube. You notice up in the top left that there is no mini-map. You have to make those separately. I'll try and get that in a future video, but you really don't worry about that for the longest time. You're more worried about the actual gameplay in your map, and then after that you build the mini-map. So, your map didn't compile correctly. Well, it's likely that your issue was a leak. You're probably wondering what that is. Well, imagine that our little cube here is like a fish tank, and that the light in it is water. If we have a leak or a hole, it will leak out all the water and mess up everything and kill all the fish. Luckily there's no fish here, but there is this little terrorist. Basically, if there's a hole in our map, like let's say this hole right here, then all the light will escape and the map won't compile because there's an issue. So just go around, check for holes and whatnot. We'll probably fix your problem. The reason is that out here is the void, and it basically consumes everything. There's nothing out here, no light coming in or anything. So it's like a black hole basically. It consumes everything. So you just have to keep everything sealed so that it can't get you. Yeah, I don't think there's too much else. I can't think of any other errors you would have. If you have any issues compiling other than the leak, just post it in the comments and I'll try and help you out. Anyway, you guys have a good day and happy mapping.